Do.
All right. Please turn your attention over to Thom.
All right. Good morning, everyone. And if you hadn't already guessed, I'm here to talk to you about work. About Mass Effect 2. Just to give you a little fair warning, there will be spoilers for Mass Effect 2 in this presentation, and a little bit of full disclosure, Mass Effect 2 is also probably my favorite game of all time. So, yeah. All right, so just as a brief overview, Mass Effect 2 is a third-person action RPG with cover-shoot mechanics. It was developed by BioWare and published by EA in January 2010 for PC and Xbox 360. And then a year later, it was released on the PlayStation 3. Overall, it has a Metacritic score of 94 on PC and PS3 and a 96 for the Xbox 360. Now, overall, Mass Effect 2 made several improvements on the formula of the first game. Notably, in terms of combat, squad control, and active power usage. It streamlined some of the controls, making it much more user-friendly and intuitive. Now, some fans felt that in doing this, they dumbed down some of the RPG aspects of the game, and it kind of did a little bit because, as you can see here, they limited down the skill tree to only about 4 skills available to each player or to your ally characters, as opposed to 8 to 10. Personally, I think that was a bit of an improvement because it allowed characters to be more specialized and actually fill individual roles as opposed to being kind of like jack-of-all-trades characters. Now, Mass Effect 3 has 3 main pillars at its core. Narrative, character, and choice. Narrative is obviously the strong story. Character, the people that you share your adventure with. And then choice, all of those wonderful decisions you have to make along the way that determine if Commander Shepard will succeed or fail. Now, in terms of narrative, at its core, Mass Effect is a story about Commander Shepard's struggle against the Reapers and their agents. But as with all BioWare stories, it's a lot deeper than that, and things get a lot more complicated as you move from the beginning to the end. In Mass Effect 2, Commander Shepard has to put together an entirely new crew and face a new enemy following in the wake of Saren and the Geth. And that enemy are the Collectors. The Collectors are agents of the Reapers and, spoiler, repurposed Protheans, who now function basically to build new Reapers and first strike agents in the Reapers' grand attack. Now the characters, they're really kind of the strongest part of the series, because while the narrative is very strong, it's the characters that really bring the world to life, and it really kind of makes the game feel real and gives it that sense of heft. And they're not just people. I mean, they come from cultures that are living entities. They have history. They have psychology. I mean, they're well more than cookie cutter characters. And then more than that, these relationships develop as you move from game to game and as you move from event to event. And it allows, not just, everybody kind of laughs at like the whole relationship aspect where, oh, who can Commander Shepard get with in this game? Which is to some extent a very big part of the game, but it's not, the end goal. I mean, the end goal are really kind of, one of the best examples in Mass Effect 2 is once you've progressed through the conversation tree with Mordin Solus to a point, he actually goes into a wonderful bit where he starts singing Gilbert and Sullivan. And it's just getting to know these characters as though they were actually real people, real friends. And that's really kind of what this game, to some extent, is about. Now, one of those characters is Legion. Legion's a Geth, which are a race of intelligent machines. Although, technically speaking, as we'll talk here, Legion is a mobile Geth platform home to over 1,100 individual Geth programs. He was sent to find Commander Shepard to help his people fight the Heretics, which were a group of Geth that worshipped the Reapers as though they were gods, or as they call them, the Old Machines. Now, the Geth aren't technically machines, they're just a series of programs with these wonderful mobile platforms. And one of the great parts of Legion's character is that he's set up to basically help us break down any preconceptions that we had about the Geth prior to Mass Effect 2. Because all throughout Mass Effect 1, they were villains. Or at least we assumed them to be villains. When in fact it only turned out to be a small portion of their entire society. Another one of the characters is Thane Krios. He's one of the new races for Mass Effect 2, the Drell. Now, for him, he's dying of a rare disease called Keppel syndrome, which is going to take his life in a very short time. Prior to that, he was an assassin, and what he's been doing now is trying to atone for all of his former crimes, and leaves the galaxy a lighter place than he left it, or than he came to it. Now, as we've talked about character, we really have to start talking about choice. As in life, there are many possible outcomes for any given situation. And also, as in life, some outcomes are fairly easy to predict, which in Mass Effect generally gives you a color-coordinated indicator. Blue meaning Paragon, or technically the moral high ground. Red, Renegade, the moral low ground. But in Mass Effect 2, that gets blurred a little bit. Red and blue don't necessarily have to do with morals and ethics. They could just have to do with expediency. One of my personal favorite decisions is in Morden Solis' loyalty mission, where a Krogan warlord approaches you and he's standing up on a raised platform. And a renegade option appears in the QuickTime event. Now, you take the renegade option, you take a pot shot at him. You miss him, and then he starts taunting you about this, at which point it becomes obvious that you weren't shooting at him, but instead the propane cylinder that he was standing on top of. Hilarity ensues, Krogan burns to death, you get renegade points. But it basically stops him from going on a villain speech. Now, some decisions aren't quite so easy, and that leads directly into loyalty, one of the new systems implemented with Mass Effect 2. Now, in addition to normal conversations with characters, a player can participate in these with their crew on the ship, but they can now gain loyalty through character-specific loyalty missions. Each one is basically designed to resolve a backstory element of the character, and success does not always guarantee loyalty, and sometimes gaining the loyalty of a crew member means failing to resolve the issue. And gaining the loyalty of the crew member unlocks a new power and also appearance options. So you can make like Garrus kind of more blue instead of black, or Legion gets this kind of like weird inverse character color situation where it makes him look kind of evil, which is kind of fun, especially if you're playing Paragon, because all of a sudden you have this evil looking guy.
Are you going to go into examples of your sometimes does not guarantee loyalty or sometimes fails resolve?
That was an oversight on my part.
Oh.
But
do you have one off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, the Garrus Vicarian loyalty mission, he basically is on a mission of revenge for a person who cost him a bunch of his team. All of his team of mercenaries. The success condition, at least for Garrus as it sets out, is that he kills the traitor. But to get his loyalty, you can allow him to kill the traitor. But if you're going for a more Paragon approach to things, the smarter approach is to get him to forgive. And by basically stopping that base impulse for revenge, you fail to some aspect on the mission, but you still gain his loyalty. Another instance is a DLC character, Zaid Masani. He's the founder of the Blue Suns mercenary group. He was shot in the head and left for dead by the current head of the Blue Suns. His loyalty mission is again another mission of revenge, but you can succeed in his by reminding him that it's not all about individual glory, it's not about revenge, it's about the mission and it's about saving the galaxy as a whole, and there will always be time for people to get their justice later on. Of course, you can also get his loyalty by sacrificing everybody and killing the guy, but where's the fun in that?
I like Zaid.
Yeah, Zaid's he's a pretty fun character. The space Australian with the facial scar.
He's the old veteran.
Yeah. Now, another series of choices revolves around the Normandy. This time around, we're in the SR2, which was rebuilt after the Collectors destroyed the first one in the opening few minutes of the game. Spoiler, Shepard dies in the first 10 minutes. But he gets brought back, so it's cool.
No.
Now, despite the fact that the Normandy is now a little bit larger and more powerful, it's still based off of the original technology, which at this point is a couple years old. And as we all know, in terms of computers now, a 2-year-old computer is nothing compared to a computer built 5 minutes ago. And to some extent, that applies to the ship. Now, some of your crew members have knowledges that can be used to upgrade the ship, whether through new shielding, new hull systems, or even some things like that are actually kind of simple, like, we can carry more probes, so we can mine more planets. Which nobody said, ooh, I need more probes, ever. Except for me.
I probed everything.
I damn well tried.
I complained the whole time I did it, but I couldn't stop.
Now, these upgrades, with the exception of probe capacity and fuel capacity, have no real apparent impact on the gameplay. There's no, it's just, now we have a Thanix cannon instead of the main gun of the Normandy. So it's really kind of hard to, it's this difficult decision for players to make, considering that it costs a fair amount of resources and time to upgrade these individual components of the ship. And it's a really easy choice to just kind of gloss over. Now, as we move forward, loyalty and upgrades, they kind of seem outwardly simple and almost inconsequential, but they're also the most important decisions of the game. Because while they're optional and somewhat hidden, they kind of only come up organically through conversation and within the game universe. It's really kind of easy to just kind of skip over them. But in the end, in the suicide mission, when you're there and you're finally going through the Omega-4 relay, you're on your way to the Galactic Core to face down with the Collectors at their home base. Your success then becomes dependent on more than just stopping them. Because stopping them is only half the battle. Because this is the culmination of all of those choices that you made throughout the game. Did you bother to get the loyalty of Legion and Garrus and Miranda and Jacob? Did you bother to get the new kinetic barriers? Did you talk to Tali about the new alloys for the hull?
Do all the characters have?
Not all of the characters. The core characters of the series, so Garrus, Tali, and then Miranda and Jacob, and I want to say Morden, all have ship upgrades. The others have individualized upgrades like tech upgrade powers or weapon unlocks, which I also got to.
Yeah.
Because if you can have your players that much more powerful going into the end, why not?
Did Dr. Didn't she have an upgrade too?
No, she asked you to find some brandy, and then you can drink brandy with her and get drunk and stumble around the ship for a few minutes.
Yeah.
It is a great scene, actually. I mean, she's just this minor character. And she's just like, man, I had this bottle of Ceres Ice Brandy on the old Normandy. If you see one, could you pick one up? And so you pick one up, and she's like, oh, we should save this for later. And you'd be like, okay, sure. Or, hey, let's drink it now and remember all the people we lost. It was a great moment there.
Or like you make a toast.
Yeah, you can make it to the Fallen or to the Alliance.
Right.
I always pick the Alliance, because even if I'm working with Cerberus, I'm never working for Cerberus. Personal thing. I apply way too much of my own morality to the game. So on the suicide mission, the first thing, the Normandy is tested. Now, there are a couple events where the Normandy is getting attacked by various probes of the Collectors, and then also trying to dodge large amounts of space debris from everybody who's come this way and failed. Now, if you succeed, and you fully upgraded the ship, you're awarded by this wonderful defeat of the Collector ship that has been dogging you throughout the entire game, and it's wonderful and it's explosive, and the Normandy looks beautiful as she does it. But, on the other hand, if not, the crew pays the price. And as pretty much at each individual moment, or each of those different beats, you lose a member of the crew. And in one of the 2 playthroughs I did for this, I lost Thane, Jack, and Kasumi. I hate me too. Because I rushed to get there and I didn't make the right decisions. Just real quick aside though, all of the characters with this little kind of orange halo underneath them, those are the ones that you have gained loyalty with.
Screw.
Well, yeah, pretty much. I never liked them. Well, it's just in one playthrough of the game, I romanced Miranda, and it just felt like a quickie and dirty, and it wasn't fun. Um, so now, after the Normandy, the commander is then tested with a series of decisions that they have to make as the player plays through the collector base. Now, if the captain was smart and earned the respect of all the crew, and you pick all of the best people suited to these missions, well then, hurrah, hurrah. You all win. Everyone lives.
Except Tally?
Oh no, Tali's alive.
Oh.
That's Kasumi. And
Oh.
she's just natural. She's a, yeah, Tali's fine. She's got a cool, nice new outfit. Legion, looking all inverted colors. I like some of the alternate outfits. They just look better.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good reward, actually.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you lose people.
I really hate you.
No, that one really hurt because I had romanced Garrus on that playthrough, and he got carried away by the collector swarm.
I happened to be once with Dane, and I about cried, and I shut off my system right away.
The first
I could
time,
not handle that happening.
the absolute first time I played Mass Effect 2, I didn't realize how important the ship upgrades and the loyalty missions were, and I lost Morden at that point.
Oh.
And I literally took off my headphones, slammed them on my desk, and yelled at my monitor. And my wife turned around. She was watching TV about 10 feet away from me at the time. She's like, "What is wrong with you?" And it's just, as you get to know these characters through the conversations and their loyalty missions, and just having them in your squad and hearing their just the barks that they throw out. It's just they become more than just characters in the game. They become real people, and it's just
my first time. I sent Zaid to be like one of the other group leader, and like he was this whole badass scene of him staying back to hold off the collectors, and he was the last one through the door, and he's like all struggling and like trying to pull it off as like brave, and I'm gonna be okay, and he just dies. It was really sad.
yeah, it's rough. Now, in the end, Shepard wins, but the victory is kind of colored by those choices that you made throughout the game. And patience and forethought is rewarded, while haste and carelessness kind of reaps the fruit of that crappy labor in losing people. For the I wasn't able to get a crew select screen, but for the playthrough where I made all of the absolute worst decisions, I had 4 people left at the end. Samara, Grunt, Legion, and Garrus. Everyone else died, storming the collector base. Well, with the exception of Shepard, because I wouldn't have gotten to the end of the game otherwise.
Well,
So,
Yeah, you can beat
well, I have not found a way to beat Mass Effect 2 losing Commander Shepard.
I think there's like one decision at the very end, or one action or something.
It's like culmination of a lot of bad decisions.
Yeah.
There's just nobody there to catch her back when you fall or something.
Yeah, it's like you're trying to jump for the Normandy and no one catches you, so you just fall.
Huh.
it.
Well,
I think everyone has to die or something.
I got saved.
Okay.
So, but still, 4 people was the absolute lowest number of surviving crew members I've managed to get so far. And that really kind of killed me.
Yeah.
Even though I did that playthrough specifically to lose as many people as I could, just to show how bad it could be. And,
You barely feel like you won.
yeah,
Well, it's the worst case scenario is just watching Joker say like in front of all of these
yeah,
coffins. Oh,
yeah, it's heartbreaking.
God.
I'm making Brecken cry here. So, but regardless of Shepard's success, greater evil still looms out in dark space.
You get the biggest boner when that's when
Yeah.
you do that.
Uh,
Like I was flipping out.
Side note, I'm a little sad that the diversity of Reaper forms that we see here do not show up in
Yeah.
Mass Effect 3. But at the same time, it's okay, because it was still really scary.
Then again, though, you're only one man with one squad in Mass Effect 3, so
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, besides besides the ships,
Yeah.
you do see a lot of them, but like, you see, what, like 3 or 4?
I think it's 2.
Because like when you face that one
Yeah.
on foot,
Yeah.
with
There's
with the flotilla.
yeah, that's a great mission.
That was oh my god.
I love how one of the, just brief aside. I wish I could have had audio in it, but there's a great monologue that Sovereign, the ship, has in the first Mass Effect, where he basically outlines the whole reason of why the Reapers are doing this, and it's just the voice of all of these Reapers, with the exception of Sovereign, they're almost like ungodly low. Like you can't even. It's a struggle to understand them, which plays into this idea of them being these infinitely superior minds and beings. And it's just, they're a perfect villain. They're almost like a Lovecraftian ancient horror.
Is that the one you talked to on Burmar when you do
Yeah.
Earthing Artifacts?
That's a great, whoever wrote that,
That is true.
oh, he deserves a handshake and a hug, because it was great. Um,
Talking about the first one?
yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Of course, Sovereign has some great back and forth, and I love the reveal at the end of this. When Sovereign was always kind of thought to be, or not Sovereign, Harbinger, was thought to be just that kind of like super Prothean, and then it was revealed that he was a Reaper controlling him remotely from black space. Actually, this Reaper. And I just, that was a great reveal there at the end.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, no, it's
reminded me of Independence Day with the alien that control membership.
yeah. I actually have I have a video of that moment here on here.
We're just freaking out.
Yeah, because at the end it's all like when
the
he
end of Independence
that bit at the end where Harbinger's all "you have failed." He's actually talking
Right.
to that. Yeah, and it's just it's a huge moment. So in conclusion, Mass Effect 2 is a game as much about the choices as it is about the action. Now through these choices, the player kind of builds their role in the universe. They build their own personal Shepard. And just as in life, the consequences of these choices aren't readily apparent, but can be exceedingly punishing or rewarding. Case in point, whenever you gain loyalty of crew members, or whenever you decide, nope, you know what, I'm not going to bother shoring up my ship or getting loyalty, I'm just going to go take the fight to the Collectors and kill everybody. So, that's it.
Something I like that you didn't mention was like where you gain the loyalty of two kind of like opposite characters. Like if you get like Miranda and Jax. What's her name?
Miranda and Jack and Tali and Legion.
Exactly, I like that whole thing.
Yeah, if you get once you finish the loyalty for both of those characters, it builds up like a little scene where you have to mediate.
Yeah.
And I love Jack and Miranda's resolution. We'll agree to kill each other once the war is over. So.
You kind of talk about like the ship upgrades and the loyalty, getting loyalty as a choice, but if there really isn't any trade-off to doing it, you might as well just do it. Do you think the game would have been better if there was like a time limit before you had to do suicide mission?
There is.
Well,
actually,
There's certain
there are soft time
It's
limits
right
throughout
after
the game.
It's Derelict Reaper, right?
Yeah.
The first time it triggers a timer to start.
Yeah, like they say, it's like you better go right when you find out that some of your crew's been captured.
Yeah, all of them.
But I mean,
Yeah.
That's right.
And
Huh?
yeah,
Oh
If
my
they made it
god.
impossible to get all the loyalty missions, all the Joker.
Oh, like if a timer starts.
Yeah, you gotta be blasted
Some
on
that
the
you couldn't
beat.
you couldn't get everything.
Yeah.
Throw around all that crap that you did nothing about it.
I don't think that would be in keeping with the pillars of BioWare in making a situation where the player can't get total victory. But at the same time, I think that to some extent it could make for a more solid narrative by having to have some level of sacrifice for victory. But
It was kind of like, and that's version 2 was like the one where it was like, yes, we have urgency, we kind of that thing going on, whereas most BioWare games was like, let's putter around on 4 planets and then do the big thing.
Well, there's always the faker.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's like what brings up what we've talked about so much. It's just like, hey, we can go through this dungeon and get that gold. We can always have it. He's got people held hostage and we kill him. I'll take my time. I'm going to search that dark corner. I'll leave. I'm going to go home, take a nap. I'll go back when I want to.
I need to heal up before I do this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go collect all of the mammoth cheese in the world.
Yeah, I mean, the urgency is there. It's just perceived urgency.
But I think you're right here that in Mass Effect 2, at least, I think it might have been the first time that there actually was like a timer in a Bioware game where it's like, once you do trigger it, you can't just play forever, or you start getting like.
Yeah. Well, the first time, again, that I played through Mass Effect 2, I didn't realize that there was that timer before the suicide mission. And so I went off and did a couple of loyalty missions,
Ooh,
and then you lose all of your crew.
there's no comeback. There's no comeback now.
Yeah, there really isn't. You lose all of the secondary crew members, or the
Yes.
tertiary crew members, you say, like Dr. Chakwas, Kelly, the cook.
I lost Kelly.
Yeah. I watched Kelly
Yeah.
die.
That's what
That's terrible. Because especially because you just watched a colonist die a moment before that.
Mhm.
And you see it coming.
Yeah.
I lost them too because I didn't believe that there actually was a timer. I was like, oh, it's a timer.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I know how
it's
easy
not
it
just
is.
that, but it's also
Yeah.
it's the way
Wrong.
that Martin Sheen delivers the lines as the elusive man, where he's all like, "This is kind of important, but it's still your decision."
Yeah.
You know,
The best way to go about those games is just do every single mission as you get it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but the thing is if you do every single mission as you get it, you don't get the loyalty of all the crew members. You don't have the time, because after you get the Reaper IFF, you have one mission, and then the next time you go for a mission, you get the Joker level. And so, yeah, that's
He gets a sense of humor, and she's just terrifyingly funny.
yeah.
That is a good. That is
Although I
like
still
my
think that the
favorite
best
relationship.
line of that whole sequence is when Joker says, "If you start singing Daisy Do, I'm done."
He's like he does the whole banter where he's like, Joker unleashed like the iPad computer, and I'm computing like the
No, I
numbers of
have
pi.
One of the great things about this game is that it takes so many tropes that are common in science fiction and it essentially reverses them. One of the most notable ones is at the end, where it's kind of a reverse Empire Strikes Back ending. Where it's like the Empire Strikes Back, you know, the good guys are kind of in a bad place, but they're out there looking in and they're like, you know what? We have our resolve. We're good to go. Whereas in this one, the good guys are all like, yeah, we just beat the big bad. And then it's revealed that the big bad has not been beaten at all. And they're out there looking in with renewed resolve. And then in the instance with the Edie example we were just talking about, it's that reverse of that scene from 2001, where instead of taking down the AI, he's giving it power. You know, and it's a great way to see all of these scenes kind of turned on their upside down, and finding a way to really kind of build the logos of video games, building our own language, building our own tropes. It's kind of what we need to do instead of, you know, doing the Call of Duty thing and just being a Michael Bay movie.
There are some good action movies, though.
Yeah.
They certainly are, and there will always be a place for them. But we're at a point now where the technology has gotten to a point where we need to actually start, you know, I mean, a lot of people compare video games to movies when I think that that's an unfair comparison. If anything, they're more similar, especially games like Mass Effect or Dragon Age or Skyrim, to a season of television or a good novel. I mean, the narratives are much longer. The complexity of characters, especially when you start bringing in the idea of choice. And you just build up a world, you build up characters that you can't get in any other form of media. I mean, there's a relationship to these individual characters in this game that you rarely see in movies or TV or even in books, because you get to interact with them as you want to. You know, and going forward, the sky's the limit.
Oculus Rift.
The Rift is cool, but it's just, don't design around technology. A good game will stand on its own regardless of what it's on.
Technology is often a driver of design, though. Like
Yeah.
if you look at a game like Sonic the Hedgehog as an example, it was the fact that they could do the side-scrolling so quickly that drove the design of that kind of game. Or even the fact that you could side-scroll at all is what drove Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
So stuff like that will always happen.
But at the same time, there's not much, like, aside from having 3D and that extra level of immersion, I mean, an immersive game will be immersive regardless of VR headset or not.
Yeah.
A VR headset is not guaranteed to even increase immersion. But that said, there are a lot of experiences that we could do for the first time on there that could be amazing.
But what if you play like a Mass Effect game that was first person and it was using the Oculus Rift? You don't think that would enhance the immersion in any way?
I think it could, but I think what would more immerse the immersion would be if Commander Shepard no longer had a voice and the player was truly the voice of the character. And Mass Effect 3 for the 360 kind of took a step in that direction with their Kinect support. And it was kind of clunky, and it felt a little weird, because really all you would do is just say the line as it appeared. Well, that was no, it was you could call grenade, and that would throw a grenade, or you could say whatever the dialogue option was, because it's only like a sentence fragment, and that would select that for the dialogue for the character. Well,
Well, he was saying it's just a bit third.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the one example that I would want to get into Hawken if I had a Rift.
That,
I saw some of that how that happened. I was like, I mean, this game already looked pretty cool, but it's like that looks so freaking
It
nice.
would have to be the kind of game where you're sitting in a chair in the game.
Like Hawken, like if you're in a cockpit the whole time.
So.
Any other questions or comments for Thom?
Good job.
Do you like the fact that the moral choice system is so, binary?
It is technically binary, but there's always kind of that neutral third option that you can take in most decisions.
Yeah, but usually doesn't get you like any points.
Yeah, that's why it's neutral.
But sometimes, like, I would feel like in real life, neutral option is the best option, where this you can't ever get a benefit.
Well, honestly, though, the only real benefit of Renegade and Paragon decisions are opening up different possibilities to solve a problem, like essentially fourth and fifth options in the extreme moral high ground or low ground, and character appearance. Because Shepard was essentially rebuilt. In a neutral state, Shepard has visible, glowy nanotech scars. In an extreme renegade state, he looks like a Sith Lord with glowing red eyes. And in an extreme Paragon state, the scars are entirely healed. I mean, it's just being neutral in a game like this isn't a reward, because the story is polarizing. You're either going to be the guy who tries to save everybody or the guy who says, screw it, we're just winning at any cost. Yeah.
I
Although
thought you pointed that out though, like your comment about expediency was true, because that was actually the original motivator of the alignment system. We never wanted good or evil. We were like, you have to be good. You have to save the universe. Like, there's no choice there. Like,
Yeah.
You can't say, no, I'm just going to lead and let everyone suffer.
are you going to cut corners, or are you going to do it the right way?
Exactly.
I want to be the badass.
Reasonable bad.
Like, I want to be
Moderate badass.
No, see, I want to be that badass at the end of Mass Effect 3 who's at full Paragon, but still at the end with that moment where the assassin's coming at you with the sword, pulls the trigger for the renegade option, and goes, that was for Thane, asshole.
Oh yeah, I know. Oh my god.
And the polarizing bit, you're right there too. Like, we did not want there to be like a neutral. We tried that once with Jade Empire, and I thought it worked pretty well there. But
Well, for
here,
Jade Empire,
was
it
like,
makes sense.
No, one or the other.
It makes sense there because martial arts are about balance, about being neutral.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good definition.
Also, Mass Effect 2 is probably the greatest set of DLC of all time.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead, bitch.
I played through Stolen Memories last night. The Firewalker stuff. Yeah.
What's that?
The Firewalker bonus missions when you get the hover tank. It's part of the Overlord DLC pack.
Oh, I played Overlord. I loved Overlord.
Yeah, there's a series of side missions with the tank that you get, where you're essentially it turns Mass Effect into a platformer, and it's much better than Mako.
What's wrong with the Mako?
I loved the Mako, but the Firewalker was better. it could jump and it had a speed boost
Oh.
instead of a zoom, and it didn't. It only had a cannon as opposed to a worthless machine gun.
One of my favorite bits of that show too was like after you get Zaid and after every mission you go down there to talk to Zaid and he gives you some like random story of
Yeah.
his past exploits.
Yeah, well, he has like all these items in the room that he's in, and you just go up and you look at it, and he tells you about it. Like there's the Turian helmet,
Yeah.
or
You fly up a Krogan helmet, it's like you gotta get your knife in there.
Yeah. it. He's like a verbose Rambo.
Yeah.
Is the best way to put it. Because Rambo never talks.
You didn't even have to initiate dialogue. You just kind of keep talking. I thought that was a good character. He was kind of like running.
Yeah.
Kasumi was the same way too. But again, that's probably just because they were DLC characters along a different vein from the Prothean from Mass Effect 3.
Always wanted to romance Kasumi.
I know, right?
She was like, oh, that Jacob kicker. I was like, shut up, Jacob sucks.
Well, no,
Racist.
You can't romance her anyway because she's too caught up in the whole idea of the
Yeah.
gray box of her dead boyfriend.
She's all over Jacob, apparently.
Yeah, but Jacob
She's
gets
racist.
married.
That's true.
Yeah. So.
Anything else? All right, thank you, Thom.
Thank you.
Exclusive joke.
Oh,
Oh, that's fine.
I'm sorry about
No, it's